Alright, so some information on the Tyson Fury Francis Ngannou undercard from Tyson Fury's representative Spencer Brown. Now, this was reported by the Fight WAT. He is named 3 fights. Now, this is being reported. There's nothing officially confirmed. So, if these are true, and as I say here on this channel, if is a very big word in the world of boxing. But if these 3 fights do take place on the undercard, well, one thing that comes to mind definitely is, God almighty, how much are the Saudis chucking at this card? And second of all is, goddamn, these are good fights. Well, 2 of them are very good fights. One of them, I've seen Simon Keane. Now, Joseph, funny enough, right, Andy Lee, who was the trainer of Joseph Parker, he's also in the team of Tyson Fury. He's not a trainer of Tyson, but I think he has a role, certainly has a role in the team. And he would know Sugar Hill Stewart quite well. So he'd be, and I think he's cousins with Tyson, so he'd be in there as well. So I've seen him showing footage of Joseph Parker training and working with the Furies, and it's leading credence to the fact that, you know, it's being reported here, it's leading people to believe that Parker has an upcoming fight. Let me just read verbatim the fights here. So, 3 fights. Fabio Wadi, David Adelaide. We pretty much already know that. It's not officially per se been announced. Well, it pretty much has, but it was at the press conference. No British title on the line. I'm sure neither guy cares. They're probably going to make an absolute fortune fighting on that show, regardless of whether there's a British title on the line or not. Joseph Parker versus Simon Keane. I have seen Simon Keane before. I haven't been massively impressed with him now, I have to say. I'll just bring up his box right here because I haven't seen him in a while. Yeah, he's Canadian. I'm nearly sure. I know he's lost. I know the one loss he had was against Dylan Cameron. That was back in 2018. He got a win he actually beat Dylan Cameron in a rematch in 2019. He got a win over Sergey Lukovic in December 2019, which Sergey Lukovic, I mean, why is he still sticking around? His most recent win was against Eric Molina. He stopped Shondell Winters in 9 rounds. Now, Shondell Winters was 211 pounds in that fight. That was February last year. Shondell Winters is not a good head. Well, actually, Shondell Winters has a bit of athleticism, but the problem is he's 40. He's a cruiserweight, really. And his best day is probably spent doing God knows what. Not a particularly durable heavyweight, was knocked out in 2 rounds by Alan Babich. It was actually knocked out in 5 rounds in 2020, early 2020, by Joseph Parker. I think that was that might have been on the Calify Chocolatito undercard. I think it was actually. I think it was one of the last shows before boxing closed down for a couple of months. So that's one of the fights. The interesting fight here is this one, and it's interesting to me for a variety of reasons, not just because it's a cracking fight, and it really is. This is a cracking fight. Martin Bakole versus Carlos Takam. That's a cracking fight, lads. Really is. 2 things. One, I thought Bakole was with Boxer, and if that's another fighter who's left Boxer, that is really not a good look for Ben Shalom. Because it just seems like fighters are saying hi, bye. And Joseph Parker, I thought he was a Boxer fighter as well. Apparently not. Well, I don't think he is anymore. But it's literally a case of fighters just going, hi. Oh, this guy don't know what the hell he's doing. Bye. That's literally what it looks like if this is the case. And also, I seen Hatman do a video about Martin Bakole where he was saying, Billy Nelson was saying that he was going to be fighting a former world title challenger. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think in the video Hatman said that it would be a British former world title challenger who's also British. Carlos Takam ain't British, but he is a former world title challenger. Maybe they misquoted it. Maybe it was a former world title challenger who challenged in Britain, which Carlos Takam did do, because Takam ain't British. He's a Cameroonian, from Cameroon originally, makes his home in France, not British. But him against Bakole, that'll be all. Man, that's all action. That's a great fight. Just think of the styles. And both of them have a common opponent in Tony Yoka. Bakole did a better job for my money. Well, I say much better. Carlos Takam did a very good job on Tony Yoka. Bakole had Yoka almost out of there early on in the fight. And interestingly enough, if you go on BoxRec, I believe it was a majority decision with Bakole and a split decision with Carlos Takam, which was complete nonsense. I mean, both guys won the fight comfortably. And they got the nod, but it looks like, Yoka wasn't competitive in either of the fights. Complete domination by both guys. So there are 3 fights for the undercard that are reported here, and I ain't gonna lie, they're great fights. Well, Parker Keane, probably not, but the other 2. I don't lie. See, the main event is just a joke. It is. But god damn, those undercard fights are good. And I like what they're doing. You know, I always say, if in doubt, put a heavyweight on the undercard. Heavyweight boxing, for me, as a fan, it's my favourite division. As many of you will know, I love the heavyweight division. I love the unpredictability of it. Which, you know, unpredictability in heavyweights is something that you don't get in other divisions. I will say other divisions. You don't tend to get it south of 160 pounds. 160 and above, you can get it a little bit more because all them guys can punch, the majority of them. They're not as talented as, say, the welterweight, but a heavyweight, it's different ball game. The weight discrepancies, the skill level is normally not as big, and there's just more room for upsets. Whereas if you take a welterweight who is, let's say, you've Terence Crawford, and you put him in there, just say against someone like Stanionis. You know, is Stanionis a bad fighter? No. Would I give him a prayer of winning? No. Would I give him any chance? No. Whereas if you look at a heavyweight and you take the heavyweight kind of similar level to Stanionis and you put him in there against the Fury or Usyk, would I pick them? Hell no. But could I look at it and say, would an upset shock me? Not really, because I know heavyweight boxing, things can happen. It just doesn't tend to happen in those divisions. And I think that's why we all love heavyweight boxing. Because it has that, and when the fights catch fire, they really do catch fire. You know, you've big guys, you know. I'm looking at Bakole and Takam, and I'm just thinking 2 big, massive, strong guys swinging away. That is going to be fun to watch. So, look, as I said about the main event, got issues with that, but if these are going to be on the undercard, and bear in mind, these are just a couple of fights. I'm sure there's room for more. It's good. I'm not going to, there's no point, I'm not going to turn around and say, oh, they're good fights. They're very good fights. Adelaide versus Fabio Wadley is a great fight. Bakole versus Takam, the styles. Parker against Keane, You know, I'm not that I think it'd be a bad fight necessarily, but you don't know with Joseph Parker. I just don't see Keane having anything to trouble Parker. I would hope that Parker turns it up and just goes in there and just does a demolition job, which he has the ability to do. He just doesn't show it from time to time. But yeah, I think, holy God, that's a good undercard. I ain't gonna lie. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. With that in mind, let's say they announced that is the undercard. With that in mind, would it then sway you to watch and pay for this fight? Let me know in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed the video, people. Leave a like button if you could. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. For now, lads and lassies, I'll talk to you